This Karen actually called a tow truck to haul away my livelihood because she didn't like the size of my logo. She claimed my work truck was an eyesore, but wait until you see her face when I pull out the legal bylaws. Watch her entire plan crumble in real time. So apparently, my work truck is too offensive for the neighborhood. Not because it's loud, not because it's damaged, not even because of where it's parked, but because of the logo. Yeah. According to my neighbor Karen, the logo on my truck is too large, and somehow, that turned into her trying to get it towed. This all started on a normal weekday morning. I was getting ready for work, grabbing my coffee, heading out the door, and I noticed something a little strange. My truck had a bright orange sticker on the windshield. At first I thought maybe it was a parking notice or something. So I walked over, took a closer look, and it said, "Tow warning." Now I'm standing there thinking, for what? The truck is parked in my own driveway. It's not blocking anything. It's not on the street. It's exactly where it's always been. So I take the notice off and read the details. Vehicle in violation of community standards due to commercial display. That's when I realized, this is about the logo. For context, I run a small business, nothing huge, and my truck has my company name and logo on the side. It's clean, professional, nothing crazy. No flashing lights, no giant graphics. Just a normal business logo. And I've had it like that for a long time. Never had a single issue. So I'm trying to figure out, why now? And right on cue, I hear a voice behind me. "You can't have that kind of advertising in the neighborhood." I turn around, and there she is, standing there like she's been waiting for this moment. Arms crossed, serious expression. So I ask, "What's the problem?" And Karen points at the truck and says, "That logo is way too large. It looks like a billboard." Now I'm looking at my truck, and then back at her, trying to understand how we got from company logo to billboard. So I say, "It's just my work truck." And Karen goes, "Well, it doesn't belong here." At this point, I'm trying to keep the conversation calm, because I've learned reacting emotionally never helps in these situations. So I said, "It's parked on my property, and it's not causing any issues." And she responds with, "I've already contacted the HOA." Of course she has, so now I know this isn't going away quickly. I go inside, grab the HOA rulebook, and start going through it. Because at this point, I've made it a habit to check what's actually written. Not what people think is a rule. And this is something a lot of homeowners don't realize. There's often a big gap between the actual rules and how people interpret them. So I go through everything related to vehicles, parking, and commercial use. There are some rules about commercial vehicles, mostly about parking on the street, but nothing about having a logo on a vehicle in your own driveway. Nothing about size, nothing about design. So now I'm thinking, okay, this doesn't add up. A couple of days later, I get an official notice from the HOA. It says my vehicle may be subject to towing if the violation isn't corrected. Again, same vague wording. Commercial display inconsistent with community standards. No exact rule, no specifics. And honestly, this is where things can feel a bit overwhelming, because when you see something like towing, it feels serious. But instead of reacting, I decided to handle it the same way I had before. Calm, clear, documented. So I wrote a response. I asked them to provide the exact rule being violated, a clear definition of commercial display, and how it applies to a personal work vehicle parked on private property. Then I waited. But this time, I also did something else. I took a walk around the neighborhood, and I paid attention, because I wanted to be sure I wasn't missing something. And what I found was interesting. There were other vehicles with logos. Smaller, sure, but still visible. And none of them had notices. So I documented that too. Photos, notes, everything. Then I included that in a follow-up. Again, calm, no accusations. Just facts. A few days later, I got a response. And just like before, the tone had changed. More cautious, more careful. They didn't mention towing anymore. And shortly after that, I received a final notice. It said the situation had been reviewed, and no further action was required. Just like that. No towing, no violation, nothing. And honestly, situations like this made me realize something. A lot of HOA issues don't come from clear rules. They come from opinions or assumptions. And if you don't know what's actually written, it's easy to feel pressured into fixing something that may not even be a real issue. That's actually one of the reasons I put together a simple guide for homeowners. Just to make things easier to understand, without all the confusing language. It covers things like this: what to look for, what to ask, and how to respond calmly. It's in the description if you want to check it out. And yeah, the truck is still there. Same logo, same size, still parked in the same spot, and somehow, still not a billboard.